good morning, good morning. It's a lovely sunny morning and welcome to this episode of Two Peas in a Pod, and I'm Philippa Botrill.
And I'm Philippa Butler, and this week we're two Pilates teachers on one mission. Our mission this week, how to age gracefully. Ooh, that's a big one.
It's a big one, isn't it? It's a big one, and I think we're at that age, aren't we, Pippa? Well, that we all get quite concerned about aging when you sort of, well, I suppose in your 50s really is when you start to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I never thought about it until the big 50, really.
No.
No. And now, and I think that's because I'm starting to feel differently.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah. Mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that, particularly as women, that we acknowledge that, because we're all supposed to think that we can just carry on, everything's fine, it's all normal. And yes, there's so much we can do to help ourselves. But actually, for me, it was 53. It was that specific, So when I was 50, I was still feeling all hunky-dory and lots of energy and all the rest of it. Of course, good old menopause kicks in. Hormones go through the floor. And for 53 it was such a massive change for me. Massive.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Philippa, because I have a birthday coming up.
Don't tell me it's your 53rd.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm 53 a week on Saturday.
Yeah. You must be just starting to notice it now.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the perimenopause has been knocking on the door for a couple of years, but finally, I'm definitely in the menopause now.
Yeah.
And so it's a real shift in how your skin is.
Yeah.
The amount of hair that you've got in various locations,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And mentally as well, mentally it's harder. I think when we're going through the menopause, especially in the early stages, I think we can have a lot of anxiety, feel quite low. Moods can be quite low, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a hormone-related thing, the unexplained anxiety, increased anxiety levels. And it's not that you do it on purpose, or it just comes upon you. And it definitely, you're laughing. It definitely came upon.
We're not being just grumpy old women on purpose, are we? It's real.
Never been anxious before in my life, ever.
No,
never.
I know it is real. And I was listening to this podcast by Dr. Lisa Mosconi only just a couple of days ago, and it was really interesting because she was saying the effects of losing, particularly estrogen, but losing our female hormones and how much of it is a thing. And one of the things she said, which I thought you might be quite interested in, was how the hormones affect particular parts of our brain. And so when we start not to be able to regulate our temperature, hot flushes and things, you may know this, but this was new to me, that's because your hypothalamus isn't working correctly because it's not getting the right hormonal stimulation. So that was really interesting. There was two others. The lack of sleeping, trouble sleeping, that's when the brain stem is affected. And the third one was where you get mood swings and forgetting, and that was the, and you'll know the pronunciation of this one, the amygdala. Yeah, the amygdala.
Yeah, I mean, the brain is the control center. Why would it not be affecting the brain?
Yeah, absolutely. And the link between the brain and hormones, and then of course the corresponding link with our gut as well, because that's when a lot of gut issues happen, isn't it, for women?
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt my irritable bowel has just stepped it up a level over the last couple of years. You know this, all these conversations we've had about, how my insides react.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there are a lot of things we can do, but it does start to make you think that managing the hormone levels should be maybe higher on the agenda than it actually
I think
is.
so. I think so. And also recognizing that it's a real thing for women, because men don't lose their testosterone as quickly. They just simply don't. And of course, she was also saying that there's a much stronger link with anxiety, depression, and even dementia and Alzheimer's, because of that loss in hormones. And that's fascinating. And of course, it would be lovely for them to do more research in that area, because it's something that we all need to know.
Well, yeah, because for me as well, definitely being someone who's lived up until this point, trying to keep as many synthetic, unnatural products out of my body. The thought of putting something in there, kind of filled me with dread. But I also was listening to a podcast. And if only I could remember the lovely lady's name, but she does go by the Menopause Doctor on Facebook, and she is very very knowledgeable. And anyway, she just puts it very simply that these are hormones we've had in our bodies our whole lives up until this point. It's not like we're doing anything that shouldn't be there. Really, we're replacing something that we're now depleted in, and so that kind of made me think differently, I suppose.
And I think you have to think that we are all living longer, and maybe when we started off and people were dying so much earlier, the sort of menopause wasn't such a big thing, because most of us, or people were getting towards the end of life so much earlier, weren't they? But now we're living so much longer.
Well, this is it. And we have to think about the evolution of the medical system. Wealthy individuals whose, first son went off to be in the army, his second son went off to be a priest, and then the third one went off to be a doctor. I mean, the male-dominated profession, even still at this time, and so because of that, women have been sadly ignored or undervalued, certainly. And so now we're coming from behind, really, with all these kinds of things.
I think we are coming from behind, and I know, although this isn't a podcast totally on the menopause, this isn't going down that road. But that's because I think the reason it's so important is because that's when we as women start to age, and it's all of those battles that we go with. And I can remember my mum saying to me that when she reached a certain age, and I think it wasn't as early as 50, it was probably 60, and she just said, I'm ignored now. Society ignores me. And that is just a really awful thing, isn't it? That suddenly she's not seen. She's not seen by anybody because she's not valued, because we don't value aging and older people.
You know what? I'm laughing, Philippa. I was thinking, they say you become invisible, don't they? And I always think people might approach me from behind and think, and then they turn around and look at your face.
And then realise, oh my God.
Because we're always working on our glutes, aren't we, Philippa, in our Pilates classes? Absolutely. So when you look at us from behind, we could be, I don't know, we could be in our 30s even.
But isn't it awful that we live in a society that just devalues age and makes everybody feel that somehow we're lacking? When there's so many benefits to age. I mean, the huge benefits is wisdom. I mean, my God, aren't we wiser? Because we've been around a bit. We know so much more. We've had so many more experiences. And that's a really valuable thing. And to be able to share that and teach that and show and guide younger people is just brilliant. So I think it's about tapping into two other things, because it's not physical. I mean, if you fall in love with the way a woman looks, or a man looks, and not in love with his soul, you're in big trouble. Because down as you go down the passage of age and years, the looks drop off, don't they? The looks go away, or the looks that we're supposed to be young, slim, and pretty.
And yeah, no, exactly. And I remember actually doing when I went for a job interview once, I did one of those. They put you through all those tests.
Yeah.
One of which was your personality types, and I came out. Oh no, it wasn't a job. Sorry, it was when I was doing some management training. That's right. And we did these questionnaires.
Yeah.
And I came out as being child. So there was something like adult, child, and I can't remember the others. Gosh, it was so long ago. But this is a big part of how you put yourself across. If you behave in a certain way, then you'll be perceived in a certain way, won't you? So full of life, energetic. That's going to make a difference.
It is going to make a difference, and I think I think aging really, not besides the physical aspect, or probably the physical aspect too, is in the brain. It's how we perceive it, and if we struggle with it and fight it and battle with it and think it's something horrible and look in the mirror and go, oh my God, there's another wrinkle, and and all of this comparison, we're going to age rapidly, because we're going to feel that something is wrong with us. And I think you just have to let go of appearance being so important, because
and really focus. Well, and so you're not even that though, because focus on the positive, isn't it, as well? All the oh yeah, look, I've got my hair's really good, or because my new glasses, honestly, they've given me a whole new lease of life. These glasses,
absolutely. And so little things like that can perk you up and help you. But also,
wearing bright colours. I went shopping the other day, Philippa. I went out. I had a mask in my handbag, but I didn't put it on.
I like that avocado toast. I have avocado toast a lot for breakfast, and that is probably quite anti-aging, because it's good.
Oh yeah, definitely. All those omegas.
Yeah, all those omegas, all those good fats. I mean, so simple things, the normal things: food, exercise, sleep, and stress. Those things, get those things right, and that helps you age gracefully. And by aging gracefully, for me, is being fit and healthy, eating well, enjoying my life, stressing less. That is aging gracefully to me. Aging gracefully is not about Botox and massive diets and looking in a certain way. It just isn't. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, so for me, aging is something that I want to approach with. Currently, I mean, I just want to be stronger than I've ever been, and so stronger in every way, I suppose. But physically, it's so important that we keep strong.
Yeah.
So important. I really I said this the other day, that I believe that we should be able to hold our own body weight, whatever your body weight is, be strong enough to hold it up. Absolutely. So that if you, whether it's on your hands, on your wrists, your shoulders, your feet, whatever. Did I tell you the tale about my mum falling off a bike and dislocating her shoulder? Did I tell you?
No.
Well, anyway, so as you do, my mum was riding a bike with a broom across the handlebar.
That's a safety issue for a
Yeah,
start, isn't
she's
it?
only 73, but she thought
Oh
she'd ride a
no.
bike with a broom. Anyway, so needless to say, the broom handle ends up in the spokes.
Yeah.
She's catapulted
Yeah.
off the bike.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, it turns out she dislocated her shoulder because she was wearing a rucksack and it pulled the shoulder out of joint.
Oh.
But the doctor who, I mean, she went catapulted off this bike at, fair some speed. And the doctor, she said, the doctor that dealt with me said, if you hadn't had such good muscles around your shoulder,
Yeah.
it would have been a whole lot worse. So
Yeah.
the muscular, this, the muscles actually provide protection. If ever you land on some bit of you, if you're well muscled, you're much
Yeah.
less likely to break.
Yeah, and also with that, I think as well, is your flexibility. Because if you're much more flexible, so if people break their wrists when they just have no flexibility in it, don't they? And it snaps, they fall, but naturally you put your hand out and whatever, because that's a natural thing to do. But the strength through it and the keeping the flexibility is so important. I mean, obviously we are advocates of that because of what we do for a living, but again, talking a bit about lockdown, one of the fantastic things about lockdown is that I've actually had the time to do more exercise. I've done far more online things. I've been out on my bike more. I'm doing longer walks. All of these things which are incredibly beneficial for our well-being and anti-aging. Because hormones have such a big part in our aging process. If we can get our hormones a bit more stable by eating better, by sleeping better, by less stress, by more exercise, we can get those hormones more stable. It is an anti-aging thing, isn't it? Has to be.
Definitely. Absolutely. I want to age disgracefully as it goes.
You know what? I do. And I think I'm already starting to do that because I just don't care so much anymore. I don't really care about what people think about me. And that's what's so lovely, isn't it? You just think, no, I'm doing what I want to do. And I don't people please like I used to. I really don't people please anymore either. And that's not being selfish, but it's just doing things, I tune into who I am so much more and what I want out of life. And that's really important.
Well, if not now, then when?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also about, I think as you age, you stand up for things a bit more that you believe in or you think are wrong. Whereas before you might keep quiet, maybe. Now I just sort of say it,
I don't know that I'm quite there yet. I'm still on the journey. I'm still on this journey. But then, yeah, I know.
Once you've had your birthday a week on,
I don't know where the last 53 years went.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it, how quickly time goes?
Oh yeah, it is. It's amazing. So don't forget hydration, because that's the other thing that plumps up the, keeping hydrated. And actually, hydration is really important for bones, because bones are a living structure. Oh, there you go. Here we are. You've got the water. I've got my herbal tea.
I've had my herbal tea. I've got my water as well. But hydration is great, isn't it? For plumping up the skin.
Plump up the cells, every cell in your body.
Yeah.
Cell metabolism, it doesn't work without water. So you've got to get the fluids in there. It's not always easy, is it? But
it isn't always easy, and sometimes we forget. I mean, I sort of changed many years ago to drink on herbal teas, and herbal teas you can count as water, so it's the way that I find easier to get more water into my body is, because I constantly drink my herbal teas all day long. I drink water as well, but that's really, that helped me up my intake.
Because of course anything with caffeine in is what's the word? Oh gosh,
this is the
diuretic. There we go. I found it. It's a diuretic.
Diuretic.
So even chocolate, sadly, has caffeine. Coffee, tea has less. But
But if
they're
you,
diuretics.
yeah, but if you have chocolate with water, Pippa, that's fine.
Oh, is it? It's not.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not giving up my
okay.
dark chocolate for anything. That's
No,
one
no.
of
I
my
think,
great pleasures in my
yeah,
life,
no.
is dark chocolate. I love
It's not as bad as coffee, is it, for sure? But that diuretic effect, and this is what,
it.
uh, older ladies in the old
You're
when
making me feel thirsty, even
in
just talking about
hospitals
it.
or in care homes, and they just fill them full of tea all the time. It's no wonder they're always on the way to the bathroom getting caught out.
Yeah.
Uh, we should really, they should be getting the herbal teas in. I dread that
Yeah.
being, in a position where I have no choice. Anyway,
Oh,
I'm
let's not
rambling.
go down there. Let's look at, we're a little way from that. Come on now.
I know, I suppose it's because of working in healthcare all those
Yeah.
years. You see stuff and it sticks in your mind.
Yeah, it does, which is why it's even more important to keep exercising. Take care
It
of your
is.
bodies, eat well, keep exercising.
Oh, yeah. Do you know the other thing I was just thinking, of course, don't forget your feet.
Yeah,
Your
that's
feet,
true.
I was the foot physio for 5 years. That's lots
Oh,
of
were you? I
F's.
didn't
Yeah, yeah.
know that.
When I was working in Doncaster Royal Infirmary, and so I saw, just about every foot in Doncaster. And so your feet, and what I always used to say is you only get one pair, and this is true. You only get one pair.
You only get
And
one body. You only get one of everything, don't we?
I know. I just say these things, you know me. So yeah, do take time to walk around barefoot to exercise the muscles of your feet. Keep the ability to move your toes independently of one another.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing, I started wearing those toe socks. Do you remember?
Yeah, I can't bear
Socks,
those.
yeah, she
I
can't
can't
get off it.
bear them. No, I hate the feeling of those things between my toes. It's just horrible. I prefer mine to be free. Wild
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
free to move as they wish. Wild and
But
free
in the
toes.
winter, when my feet were freezing on that wooden floor,
Yeah.
I had to wear something. So the toe socks, I get used to them. You do have to take them off after a bit because you kind of get a bit claustrophobic with them on.
I think that's it, yeah.
But but yeah, no, exercise the muscles of your feet. Keep your feet and ankles because
Feet
that's
and
something
ankles.
that if your
Yeah.
feet are not in good health, then you will have trouble with the walking. Corns, manage your corns.
Yeah.
I used to get people come to me and they'd say, "Oh, I've got this pain in my foot," and the doctors referred me for physio, and all it was a corn, literally.
Really?
Yes, seriously.
Isn't it?
Yeah, so they'd show me the skin and I'd say, "Oh, well, you need to see the chiropodist."
Yeah. Not me, not the physio.
Not me.
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't happen very often, to be fair, and clearly the doctor had never asked them to actually take the socks off. If he'd had a look, he would have known. But
Yeah.
I say he, of course, could have been a she. But anyway, so yeah, look after your feet.
I
It's
think
really
that's
worth
really
investing.
important. I mean, we both walk around a lot in bare feet because we teach. I
Yeah,
always teach in
yeah,
bare feet, even in the winter on that studio floor. The cold doesn't really bother me so much with my feet. I don't know.
I'm
I just,
always cold.
yeah, I mean, I do get cold, don't get me wrong, but I just like to be in bare feet. And
Yeah.
even in my house, I don't wear shoes. I will wear slippers if it's cold, but I'm often in bare feet or flip flops, though I know they're not supposed to be that great for you because you
Not
grip
great because
your
you're
toes.
gripping with your toes.
Yeah, but I do find them comfortable.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, so it's like everything. It's everything in moderation. I like the 80-20 rule. It's what you do
Yeah.
80% of the time that makes the biggest difference.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, when we're talking about aging gracefully, we have to be happy. We have to have some fun. And if that means a glass of red wine, then have that glass of red wine. Just don't have the whole bottle. If that means some dark chocolate, have it. Do the things you love and what brings joy and pleasure into your life, and be around the people that you want to be around. And that's a really interesting point. As I've got older, I don't feel as obligated to some of my friendship groups that I did in the past. I actually spend time with people that I really want to spend time with now. You know, whereas before, when I was younger, you used to do things because you had to, or you always did. So it's about just doing stuff that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Bound to keep you younger, isn't it?
I think, yeah, and that's the other thing. Do new things, because the brain loves the familiar. When we do everything the same every day, the same routine, you know, you do everything in the same order, you do it without thinking, and the brain loves that, because the brain is constantly trying to predict the future.
Yeah, makes you feel safe, doesn't it?
You know, and so shake it up a bit, do something different. And I every year, you know, they say about shouldn't have New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
But every year, think of something that new that you could do. Put it on your list. That year goes by so quickly nowadays.
It goes by so quickly. You're right, and it's so important. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is really important to do new stuff all the time and think about new things. I mean, courses, particularly when lots of people have had time to do something new. You know, it can be creative, anything really, can't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be Pilates, although that would be good.
That's always good. Pilates is always the answer to everything. Whatever the problem is, Pilates is the answer.
There you go. Whatever the question is, Pilates is the answer. Yeah. Well, so on that note, I think we've rambled on long enough.
I think we have. So I hope you're all going to continue to age gracefully, and we shall see you very soon.
See you soon.
Bye.